Greetings. This is a pedigree discussion about See Me Rule, number 785 in the Lexington Selected Yearling Sale on Friday, October 7th. See Me Rule is the first foal of Bad Girls Rule. Third Floor Stables is a pattern breeder with an emphasis on the breeding philosophy, return to the sire the best blood of his dam. As will be shown in this video, although still early in his breeding career, Downbytheseaside is the epitome of that philosophy. Before getting into specifics of See Me Rule's pedigree, let's review the dam of Downbytheseaside, Sprig Hanover, to discuss what might constitute her best blood. We'll then inspect the top offspring pedigrees of Downbytheseaside and note any similar attributes to Sprig Hanover. Apologies in advance for the length of the video, but it's important to review a valid sample size. Here's a 6th-generation pedigree of Sprig Hanover. In assessing best blood, I look for individuals duplicated multiple times throughout the pedigree. Starting at the top, we see that Sprig Hanover is line-bred most happy fella. For those unfamiliar with evaluating pedigrees, this indicates that an individual on the sire's top line is repeated on the dam's top line. There will be those that argue that this is an outcross breeding of Cam fella to No Nukes, and that would be correct. However, most happy fella has branched out with various lines that show up in current pedigrees. Cam fella, No Nukes, and Tyler B are all active lines, as well as the inactive Troublemaker and On the Road Again lines. So for this discussion, we'll refer to all branches as most happy fella lines. Line breeding can also apply to sire line of the 3rd or 4th dam, and we identify that Sprig Hanover is line-bred most happy fella to her 2nd and 4th dams. For all pedigrees in this discussion, we'll highlight these most happy fella lines blue. The next significant item is that Sprig Hanover is maternally inbred to Big Towner, indicating that the dam of her sire and the dam of her dam are both out of Big Towner. We'll highlight all Big Towner lines green throughout all pedigrees in this discussion. The final discussion point regarding Sprig Hanover's pedigree relates to the controversial topic of X Factor. Put simply, X Factor is purported to be a genetic mutation that causes an oversized heart and is carried along and passed through to offspring through the X chromosome. Whether X Factor is genuine can be debated, but the premise of X Factor can be easily understood, and many breeders and owners do believe in it. X Factor can be tracked in all offspring as we know who carries it, and it's an important aspect of Sprig Hanover as she carries multiple lines. Pedigree expert Norman Hall dedicated a chapter to X Factor in his book, Queen Among Queens, which can be found on his website, pedigreematching.com. The site also has a document which contains a listing of sires that carry the X Factor gene maternally. Sires have an X and Y chromosome and contributes his Y chromosome to sons and his X chromosome to daughters. Dams have 2 X chromosomes and contribute 1 X chromosome to each offspring. Therefore, for a colt to inherit this large heart gene, only his dam can pass it along to him, and to ensure that he has it, she would need to be double copied, meaning that she would have to carry it on the top and bottom half of her pedigree. With fillies, because the sire contributes an X, a filly would thereby inherit what Sprig Hanover would carry, and if her own dam is double copied, then the filly would have a 3 out of 3 chance of inheriting the large heart gene. If she only carries a single copy or multiple copies on one half of her pedigree, then the filly would have a 2 out of 3 chance to inherit the large heart gene. Let's first review the pedigree of Big Towner's dam, Tiny Wave, and follow it back to the mare, Margaret Parrish. Opening Margaret Parrish pedigree, note that she's closely inbred 2x3 to Arion, arguably one of the origins of the large heart genetic mutation. Back to Sprig Hanover's pedigree, and now review the pedigree of Rustler Hanover's dam, Rich and Elegant, and follow it back maternally to the mare Helen Hanover, another origin of the X Factor gene. Opening Helen Hanover's pedigree, and see that she's closely inbred 2x3 to Dylan Axworthy. We'll mark all Margaret Parrish X Factor returns in the purple dash boxes and the Helen Hanover returns in red dash boxes. Here's the pedigree of Downbytheseaside. Note that Sprig Hanover's pedigree presents differently as she now makes up just 50% of the pedigree and is also now limited to 5 generations. All previously highlighted lines are still highlighted exactly as they were before, it just looks different. Here's a whiteboard listing Sprig Hanover and the 3 attributes that were just discussed. After reviewing the pedigrees of each offspring, we'll return to the whiteboard and check off all similar attributes that apply. The line bred to most happy fella attribute will be limited to being line bred from first to second or first to third dams. We'll also note maternal returns to big towner with a special notation if the return is from a primary maternal line. Regarding the X Factor attribute, there will be a box that only applies to fillies and will represent the inherited X from Sprig Hanover. The other two boxes will represent the top and bottom half of dam of each offspring. Next, we'll inspect the pedigrees of Downbytheseside's offspring. There were 116 registered foals from his first crop and 107 from his second crop. We will review the top 12 earning 3-year-olds or his top 10% and his top earning 2-year-olds, which we'll limit to 5 as his 2-year-old crop has just been racing for 60 days. First up is Pebble Beach. His dam is line bred most happy fella from her first to third dam. She has no big towner, nor does she have any X Factor returns. Sea Silk. Her dam is line bred most happy fella from her first to second and fourth dams. She has no big towner returns. She returns X Factor to Margaret Parrish on her top half. She also returns X Factor twice to Helen Hanover on her bottom half. Gulf Shores. His dam is line bred most happy fella from first to second dam. She has 2 big towner returns, both primary. She returns 2 X Factor lines, 1 each to Margaret Parrish and Helen Hanover on her bottom half. Bythemissal. His dam is line bred most happy fella from first to third dam. No big towner returns. She returns 2 X Factor lines, 1 each to Margaret Parrish and Helen Hanover on her bottom half. Cape Cod Hanover. Her dam returns no most happy fella. She has 1 big towner return and it's a primary line. She returns 1 X Factor line to Margaret Parrish on her bottom half. Sling Shock. His second and fourth dam are most happy fella line, but is not line bred. His dam does return 2 big towner lines with 1 being a primary return. She's a double copy X Factor return to Margaret Parrish. Terminator. His dam is line bred most happy fella first to second dam. She returns 1 big towner line. She's a double copy X Factor return to Helen Hanover and carries a return to Margaret Parrish on her bottom half. Secret Side Piece. Her dam is line bred most happy fella first to second and fourth dams. She returns no big towner line. She's a double copy X Factor returned to Helen Hanover with separate returns on both halves of her pedigree. Seaside Way. None of his dams are most happy fella. No big towner returns. His dam has 1 X Factor return to Helen Hanover on her top half. Sloopy. Her dam is not most happy fella line bred. However, her second, third, and fourth dams are all most happy fella line. The dam of Sports Rider is also most happy fella. This gives her dam 4 different returns. She has 2 big towner returns, and she's a double copy X Factor return to Margaret Parrish. Fantasy Life. His dam is line bred most happy fella first to third dam. No big towner returns. She has 1 X Factor return to Margaret Parrish on her bottom half. Allnight Micki. Her dam is line bred most happy fella from her first to second and fourth dams. 1 big towner return in its primary. She has 2 X Factor returns, 1 each to Margaret Parrish and Helen Hanover on her bottom half. We now proceed to the 2-year-old pedigrees. My Red Sea. Her dam is line bred most happy fella first to third dam, no big towner returns. She has 1 X Factor return to Helen Hanover on her bottom half. Calgary. Her dam is not line bred most happy fella. She is top line most happy fella and has 2 minor maternal most happy fella lines on the bottom half of her pedigree. No big towner returns. She has 1 X Factor return to Helen Hanover on her top half. The Real Way. His dam is not line bred Most Happy Fella. However, her second and fourth dams are Most Happy Fella line. The dam of Real Desire is also Most Happy Fella, so that gives his dam 3 different returns. No big towner returns. She has 1 X Factor return to Helen Hanover on her top half. Downright Delicious. His dam is line bred Most Happy Fella from her first to second and third dams. No big towner returns. She has 2 X Factor returns, 1 to Helen Hanover on her top half, 1 to Margaret Parrish on her bottom half. Act Fast. His dam is line bred Most Happy Fella first to second dam, 1 big towner return, and it's primary. She has 2 X Factor returns, 1 to Helen Hanover on her top half, 1 to Margaret Parrish on her bottom half. This concludes the review of the offspring pedigrees. These are the top earning offspring of Downbytheseaside to date. So what can we take away from all of this? Breeders and buyers share a very common goal in wanting a top offspring. The purpose of this video is to show how chances can actually be increased to breeding or purchasing a top offspring by looking for and making decisions based on patterns. Downbytheseaside clearly has shown a pattern. 11 of his top 17 offspring are from mares line bred to Most Happy Fella. 3 others, Sloopy, Calgary, and The Real Way, all contain 3 or 4 returns to Most Happy Fella. Of the 3 others, 2, Sling Shock and Cape Cod Hanover, return primary big towner lines. Disclosure: there are an extremely large number of mares who fit the criteria of being line bred to Most Happy Fella, and I'm confident that Downbytheseaside has bred a significant number of mares, possibly 33% or more, fitting that attribute. So that trait alone, although it will increase your chances, is no slam dunk guarantee of landing a top offspring. This is without taking into consideration X Factor. 8 of these offspring are out of dams who are double copied X Factor. Another 8, split equally, have a 66% or 50% chance of inheriting the large heart gene. By applying the X Factor attribute as well, it's possible to improve the percentages of getting a top offspring to an even higher degree. However, you may also miss out on a Pebble Beach who has no X Factor return. Downbytheseaside is just in the early stages of his second crop, but there's a reason that this philosophy of return to the sire, the best blood of his dam, has existed for such a long period of time, and still practiced today. There will always be outliers, and I'm in no way saying that there will not be individuals of significance that fall outside of this pattern, but I do think the pattern will persist throughout Downbytheseaside's time as a sire. Finally, we've now come to the pedigree of See Me Rule. Bad Girl's Rule is line bred Most Happy Fella from first to second, third, and her fourth dam. She returns 2 big towner lines. She's X Factor double copy Margaret Parrish and also has a second Margaret Parrish return on her top half and a Helen Hanover return on her bottom half. There are no guarantees in racing, but this colt was bred right, raised right, and prepped right. His dam had early speed and has flawless conformation. He checks all the boxes and deserves a long look. Thank you for your time.